Okay. Yeah. Okay, we're live. We're live. Test, 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 and make sure the sound is working. We are back. Day 8. Make sure the audio is good, though. Make sure the audio is good. Test, test, test. Man, my throat is driving me nuts. But we're back for day 8 of training camp, and man, we have a fun one today because not only are we going to be live over here to talk through training camp a little bit, but after this show, I'm immediately going over to Bleacher Report. We're going to be live over there. We're going to do some roster predictions at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I don't want to say immediately because depending on when this ends, I don't know if that'll be immediate, but we're going over 4 p.m. Eastern time live on Bleacher Report to talk through roster predictions. But we're live over here, and as y'all can see, it is officially August, so it's officially that time. This live stream is brought to you by BetUS, my sportsbook and casino. Top link in the description. It'll also be in the comment tab as well, in the comment section. I'll be pinning that there for videos that we use it in, but the top link is available. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we get about halfway through this live stream. But yes, man, we're live, man. I'm fired up. But, hey, we haven't been this early to talk about training camp yet. So we're going to be diving into this stuff quickly. I have my notes on my phone, so some of them I can't really read what I wrote down. Just bear with me. And we were also opposite of where the action was actually taking place today. We were on the opposite field, so you kind of had to try to look across and see what you could see what you could take away. So there's a chance that some of these, of course, I have the wrong numbers, something like that. Also, I was not feeling 100% today. Like, just to straight lay it out there, this was not my best in terms of just the way that I felt being at camp. So I was in and out. As soon as that thing ended, I was out to the car, man. I was like, yo, I'm not going to stick around. I don't want to really, engage with too many people here. Let me just get out and then take my notes home, and we'll do this live stream. So, yeah, definitely not the best today. Okay, I was sweating like crazy. I mean, it was hot, but I don't know what it was, bro. I was sweating, terribly as soon as it started. So, anyways, we got the notes, man. We got a lot of things to dive into. The truth is in the building. Hey, the old me is dead. I love that. You don't care if I share that with some of the people that are doing some of our new products, right? I like that idea. I think I should share that with them, see what they think about something like that. I'm not the best at creating designs. I'll just be honest. I mean, I did the Duracell thing and stuff, and that's on the Dodge Shop. But I'm not the best at designs. Even if I have an idea, I'm not the best at actually putting it together. So I'm going to share that idea because I think something like that would be awesome. The truth is here. Sup, D? What's going on, everybody? Sir Richard's in the building. How you doing, Sir Richard? Man. I'm fired up, dude. I'm fired up. This was a fun day of camp. It was a fun day of practice to watch. A lot of things went down today. It wasn't the best angle. I felt whack, but it was still that fun to watch that I just stuck around. I was like, this is an enjoyable practice. There was a lot going on. It is hot and humid AF here in Detroit area. It is. Nah, it absolutely is. Ram's in the building. What's up, Ram? How you doing, man? So let me show this first, and we'll kind of start this show like we've done the last couple live streams, so let me make sure I get the right graphic here, which is just the injury updates. We'll just kind of start with that. Then I'll get into some of my notes that I had today. But I wanted to start here first, just to kind of lay out what we're looking at. Let's get that on the screen. Bam. I got to zoom in on this, too. Hold up. I got to present this thing. It's always weird that I have to click this button. And then, again, if you are just joining, 4 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be live on Bleacher Report. We're going to do roster predictions so far, through training camp so far, August 1st. We got a lot of shows with them this month, so stay tuned to that if you want to tune into any of those. But here are your injury updates today. You heard Jack Campbell is struggling, so we'll talk about him a little bit. It's difficult to get notes, I would say, on Jack Campbell. The big thing for me is after I was thinking about this, right? We did the video yesterday, and I showed the pass of the ball going by his ear, and every team has their own thing schematically, like what they want to do. I know I would want my linebackers trying to find those routes, search out those routes. I don't know if I, necessarily feel like he's struggling, but he hasn't really made, plays that have popped specifically. So I've been kind of in that weird mix. And then here's the thing also we have to keep in mind. Making plays against the run do not get nearly as much attention as it does in coverage, right? If Jack Campbell has an interception, that's going to get blown up. Jack Campbell gets tackled for loss, you won't hear a thing about it, okay? So when we did that video yesterday, there's a difference, right? So, and also, me personally, I miss a lot of things. So there's a lot of things, especially against the run, that I just straight up miss. I don't actually see who's making the play. I just see, the run didn't go well. But trust me, and we got a ton of notes today, and we're going to be talking about players that we hadn't talked about a ton in the past. So this is going to be a fun one. But just to kind of lay this out, and we could talk about these guys a little bit more, going forward. Didn't really do any background on these guys. But Pat O'Connell has been signed. We know that John Kaminsky went to IR. He's going to be out. He could be back for the regular season, they said. He has the MCL tear. And then we also signed an offensive lineman. Let me move myself. I'm blocking everything here. We also signed offensive lineman Jake Burton from the UFL. And that goes in order with surgery that Nite Mutai is going to need. So the Lions went out and added some more offensive line depth. That does shake things up a little bit, though, because Nite Mutai, where he was getting reps with this offensive line, like it definitely opens the door for a lot of guys to play to prove themselves at guard. Like guys like Betger could really make the team. I could see that being a possibility. Can you talk about upcoming training camp week? You want me to talk about next week? What do you want to know about next week? I don't really know anything about next week, to be honest. We'll talk about today. I could talk about things I've seen in the past. Next week, though, right, we're not actually going to be there. There's no, like, open days to the public. Preseason starting. Guys, football starts today. Football starts today, and I wanted to go live for it. I won't be home, at least for the beginning of the game. So maybe if I'm back by, like, the second half, we might go live tonight again. I got things I got to get done, but we may go live by the second half tonight. I know it won't be the beginning, but I'm just super fired up that football is back today. It is crazy that we're here. But, yeah, next week, everybody's playing, so we don't have training camp that fans can actually be at. And then I think we're back the week after that for a few days, and then it's over. That's it. So, like I said, I didn't want to leave today because I wanted to get my notes because this is not like a long experience. Training camp comes and goes extremely fast. Also, Zonovan Knight was there at practice, but apparently he just went through drills. Also, KO'd was absent from practice today as well. I put that on two different lines. I just noticed it looks weird. And then the big one, which is unfortunate, I didn't know this happened, but it does make sense because I was like, where'd he go? Sione Vaki apparently had a shoulder injury during one-on-ones, and that knocked him out for the rest of practice. So we'll probably get an update on him tomorrow. Melk Rodriguez also apparently got banged up today, but he did finish practice. He just declined to speak with the media. So those two will have to keep an eye on where those are at. The good thing is it's very early. But I don't know for sure, and I had this in my notes multiple times, so maybe someone can fact-check this. And maybe when, more people kind of release their observations today, we'll get a better sense of this. Because by our angle, I couldn't completely tell. It looked like Sione Vaki was actually playing defensively. Now, we saw this a couple days ago when the Lions went to those one-on-one drills where it was like, hey, offensive player versus defensive player, and you're basically just trying to make a stop. You're trying to cut them off, make a stop. They're trying to score. It's not like a huge area. It's just a pure one-on-one competition thing. And I'm pretty sure that Vaki was actually lining up defensively a couple of times. He made a couple of plays, got a couple of tackles. That could be wrong. Maybe it was him running football, but I'm pretty sure he was actually making a few tackles. So, just throwing that out there that we really haven't seen him get kick return reps. And obviously today, if he, got knocked out of practice, then that would make sense. We'll talk about who that was today. But overall, man, Sione Vaki, something to keep an eye on there that, especially for special teams, like you got to be able to tackle. And that's going to be his role to making the team. Having any impact early is going to be him on special teams. So that does make sense. So that's your injury updates. Now we can start to dive into some of these notes here. Let me get this off the screen. They have joint practice next week. How long is that going to last? So I don't think any of those are in Detroit, right? How long are they going to last? Like, how long is each joint practice? I actually have no idea. I don't know. Probably a couple hours. I'm sure they still have limitations. You could probably find those by the league rules. I don't know how long they last, but I'm sure like league rules has a list of how long those practices are. I won't be there, but yeah, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I don't have a good answer for that. Rodrigo has been sacrificing his body during camp. Who do they have joint practice with? So they probably have joint practice with who they play. It's usually how. Let me double check. Because I kind of forgot about joint practice till it was brought up today, and I was like, oh, snap, yeah, that's right. Let's check real quick. Let me check real quick, and then we'll get in these notes. Joint practice. Giants. I think, well, we play Kansas City second. Oh, shoot. Hold up. My camera just turned off. Give me 1 second. 1 second. I shouldn't have plugged that in. I don't know why that would turn off if I plug. Okay, whatever. We'll get that right. Move us back on Lions. Lions hosted. Oh, they are. Wait. No. Hold up. No, they don't. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to have to figure this out. I don't know. We'll figure this out. Let me get my camera figured out. We'll figure that out in time. But let me get my camera figured out here because this thing is not supposed to be off. For whatever reason, I plugged this in. That turned off. Okay, let me get that right. Hey, we had issues with this last show, too. I got to get this thing dialed in. When's this year's NFL fantasy draft? Hey, yo, so what's wild about that is I've had a lot of, like, different groups. Like, yo, we're doing fantasy this year. We're doing fantasy. So we'll have to figure that out because there's so many. I don't want to be part of, like, multiple groups like that because I'm not going to pay attention to any of them if that's the case. But I would like to do a fantasy group. We just have to get enough people, and we have to get people consistently using it. Usually that's my fault, to be honest with you, because I kind of tail off. But we need people that are actually going to lock in and do it for it to make sense. Because people that just like don't even show up for the draft, and then all of a sudden it's like, why are we doing this? It's just kind of a waste. So let's make sure we get that right. It's the Giants and Chiefs? So yeah, that's probably what it is because I believe Giants is week 1 and then it's Chiefs. I know Chiefs are week 2, so it's probably just who he plays. Usually what it is. Oh, that's you, John. John, why'd you change your name? Just so you know, if you are able to get that shirt changed name, because I'm not doing Lions content anymore. Anyways, go Lions. What? Hey, John, I appreciate you being here. Okay, I'm gonna see what they think. I think that's a good idea. Want him on for the preseason? I will tell him. I will let him know. I'll let him know. We could definitely get him on for joint practices too, because all the information will be just from articles. So he'll have the same information I do, right? Well, it won't be like I have something that he doesn't. So even for joint practices takeaways, it'd be good to have him for that too. My man said bear down. All right. We see you, MP. Who's on your picture? Okay. All right. Who is this? Is that Caleb Williams? Who's 13? I don't know who that is. Okay. I thought Cody Parkey. Hold up. Okay. Let's get to some of these notes, man. We're just going to run through them. Again, there's things that I missed. Just based on where we're at, they kind of did everything on the opposite field. But I have a ton of notes today. Like a ton. Oh, my goodness. All right. We got a lot. So we'll start off with some of like the early stuff, of course, that we see, like the one-on-ones, and then obviously at the warm-ups. And I try not to take too many notes from warm-ups. Only thing that stuck with me is because, there's receiver battle, something that we're keeping an eye on, is Doris Fountain. I'm going to say Doris Fountain. I don't think it's Darius. I think it's like Doris Fountain or something. But I'm going to say Doris. I'm just going to say Fountain. Fountain, when you watch run routes, I think when you see him through like one-on-ones, you don't see the suddenness. And that, to me, would explain like some of the issues that he had, with past teams in the preseason, getting off the line, those kind of things. So, again, I'm still curious to see how that plays out because, again, today he made an impact in team drills. He continues to do that. But other teams, especially when you get to preseason, if things are more simplified, teams are just straight playing cover one and things like that, like, is he able to separate? Now that we have all 22, we'll be able to see it regardless if he's actually getting the ball. But he continues to be a huge part of this offense, so we'll just keep an eye on that. Then we got the one-on-ones, and this was this, again, offense versus defense, trying to make a tackle, that kind of thing, offensive player trying to make a miss. And, again, if I have, like, these wrong, I apologize, and I didn't get all of these, but I got a lot of them. So first one I noted was Sione Vaki had a really nice juke on Malcolm Rodriguez to get things started. Then Trey Smith showed a little stiff arm. We saw a couple stiff arms. Like some of our bigger receivers just straight up winning with physicality. Jamar Jefferson had a nasty win on Ife Melifonwu. Then I listed Sione Vaki with the stop on Shaylin Garnes. I don't know how that would make sense. I feel like it would likely be flipped that Garnes would have made the stop on Vaki because he's a running back. But I don't know. Someone made a stop there. I thought Vaki made the tackle. I could have just been out of it. It's very possible. Then I had St. Brown. He was stuffed by Taron. Taron's actually pretty good in these drills one-on-one. Like, if you hadn't seen him, he's pretty darn consistent in these one-on-one drills, which makes sense. Taron's a very good tackler, so that makes sense. Enos Rakestraw, after having got his tackle broken by Jamison Williams, he came back and laid a really nice tackle on Jamo, so that was a good battle. Carlton Davis had a nice stop. Really nice spin move by Tom Kennedy. Maurice Alexander put the little juke move on, and Maurice Alexander continues to be involved in, like, kick return responsibilities and things like that. We then saw Alex Anzalone get a stop on Sam Laporta. Shane Zylstra had a nice one. Shane Zylstra's caught my attention a few times after the catch. What he's done with the ball in his hands, few times I've taken note of it so far through training camp, and I've seen flashes a lot of these days with him having success with the ball in his hands. I think that's just interesting because we think about Shane Zylstra and his ability to separate those. We don't really think about him as a blocker. I never really think about what he does post-catch. And I think this year the thing that stood out the most so far is what he does with the ball in his hands. He's shown some effectiveness with the ball in his hands. Jace Mitchell had a win. I had Vaki with the stop on Jake Funk. So, again, that would make sense. That would make sense. And then to end the drill, it was a really nasty move by Jahmyr Gibbs to end the drill. So then we moved on to wide receiver DB. I got much better notes from that, so we'll dive into that. Dor Reese. Is it Dor Reese? Maybe I'm wrong then. I believe Reese. Reese? Okay, hey, Dor Reese. We're just going to call him Fountain. You know what I mean? Either one, hey. I just don't want to be calling him like Reese? Doris? Darius? I don't think Darius is right. I don't think Darius is right. So that's the thing. Is a lot of hype on Parker Hesse. Do you agree? There's a lot of hype. I mean, look, he was in my list yesterday. So I don't know. Like I haven't heard the hype, but also I only know like what I feel. And I had Parker Hesse on my list today for standout players. The real hype for Parker Hesse is like if we keep a fullback, he's entrenched in getting that position right now. Like he's in line to get that spot. Outside of that role, I haven't really noticed much, to be completely honest with you. There's not a lot of dynamic athleticism within his game, but as a pure fullback, like he actually could win that role if the Lions want to keep one. So from that aspect, I could see there being some hype there. Okay, I'm a huge fan of all of our tight ends. They are all pimps. Okay, I see you. All right, let's go to these wide receiver DB drills because this was fun. This is a lot of fun. I got some good notes here. So we start off with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who put a nasty move on Terrion Arnold right up the line of scrimmage to win the slant. Created so much separation on that. These lineup at right receiver created a ton of separation, and we've seen this now a ton. All the Clips Lions posts, like, guys just struggle to stay in front of St. Brown underneath, and that's an area that Terrion's good. So it was nasty. He created a ton of separation to get things started. Also, one note that I want to put in here too is that Brian Branch, I didn't say it in the injury thing, but it was on the list. Brian Branch was involved in team drills today, and there was pads on, so it wasn't like yesterday where he was just walking around. He was involved in team drills, but through these wide receiver DB 101s, for whatever reason, he lined up against Jamison Williams early. And the coaches came over and they're like, nah, you got to get off. I don't know if that was because he's returning and they didn't want him in that drill, or that's because they just didn't want him to match up with J-Mo. I don't know what it was. They're like, nah, you got to get off. And he was like waving him off. He's like, no, let me do this. And they're like, nah, you can't do this. So they took him off. And he didn't do that one-on-one against Jamison Williams. For whatever reason, I was super interested in seeing how that was going to go without safety help. Like, how is he going to stick in front of J-Mo if this thing goes vertical? I was like, I don't know, but I want to see it. And they didn't let it happen. I was like, dang, bro, that's the thing. I wanted to see what that was going to look like. I'm a huge Levi fan. Hey, Levi, look, man, I got some notes on Levi today. Probably the most Levi flashed to me so far through training camp, which is great because yesterday we started really talking about him. Today was the most that he flashed to me personally. Brian Branch, so that was one. He was told he couldn't go. Then we had a tough win by Jameson Williams on Amik Robertson, so that was a replacement. It was contested, but he had the win. Maurice Alexander had a nice slant win. Maurice Alexander, man, he doesn't flash as much in team drills, like really at all, but he does flash in individual drills. He keeps getting returning reps. Maurice is a tough one because he really feels like he has to stand out in preseason to make the team. But he does show up a lot in one-on-ones. Like, simply just being able to win a one-on-one, he does that a lot. Dorsey had a really clean undercut on Donovan Peoples-Jones. That was pretty. You could see kind of the pacing of it, and he kind of just, like, broke himself down right underneath Donovan Peoples-Jones. I believe it was, like, an in-breaking route, and he got underneath the route before Peoples-Jones even got through the break. He sat down underneath it, broke underneath it, and got in a position where the ball had really nowhere to throw the football, and it was incomplete. So Dorsey had a beautiful coverage rep to get things going. Great coverage by Kendall Vilder. I had him deep on Tom Kennedy. He doesn't consistently find the ball, but, again, he's pretty good at just staying contested with guys, and that was on Tom Kennedy. Enos Rakestraw had an excellent jam on Khalif Raymond, and this is tough. Like, Enos, again, Khalif Raymond is usually tough for most guys to stick with, but he landed his jam right off the line of scrimmage. I did not expect this. When these two lined up, I was like, oh, Khalif's going to win this run. He got a clean jam at the line of scrimmage, tried to get vertically, and because he landed early, he was able to stick with him through the rest of the route. Donovan Peoples-Jones is struggling. The thing with Peoples-Jones is I don't want to say he's struggling from something like that because that's not, like, I don't expect Peoples-Jones to look flashy in one-on-ones, right? So, like, we've seen him win on one-on-ones, and usually he wins with physicality. He doesn't get a ton of separation, but that's how he wins. Like we saw yesterday, Enos jumped one, but then we've also seen the pass where he kind of just boxes guys out and he makes the grab. Like, Peoples-Jones is very clear on where he wins. I would say you're not seeing things out of Peoples-Jones where it's, like, unexpected. Like, wow, hey, Peoples-Jones is now doing this. I didn't know that was even part of his game. Like, everything that Peoples-Jones does well, you kind of already anticipate, like, he can actually do that well. It's just for Peoples-Jones, he's not flashing consistently over and over in team drills, and right now obviously he's behind a guy like Fountain, and he missed the beginning of training camp, so that doesn't help. So Peoples-Jones is another one of those where once the pads comes on, to me the receiver room is very difficult to gauge because I don't think right now we have any answers. Even though Fountain is like above Green and he's above Peoples-Jones right now, preseason I think is going to give us a lot more answers than what we actually have for how that receiver room is actually going to shake out. And if Fountain continues to do it, if Fountain plays well and it's similar, Fountain will get the nod. But Peoples-Jones can show up in those spots. It's kind of the same thing with like Caden Davis, who's been coming along. But even though I like Caden Davis and I like what Caden Davis brings, I don't think Caden Davis is likely to make this team unless he lights up in the preseason. And that's, I think, where we're at right now is the only guy that's really consistently finding production is Fountain. He's also getting more first-team reps. Outside of that, though, it's a lot of just like flash plays. I said Antoine Green showed me more physicality, but he's not like consistently producing out there in team drills. There's just not enough reps to go around to actually see that. So preseason, I think, is going to mean everything for all these receivers. That's going to mean everything. That's going to be the separator for these guys. To me, Maurice Alexander, like Maurice can look good on one-on-ones, but no one's really talking about him actually making the team unless he goes out there and puts up 4 receptions for 80 yards in a preseason game. Now we step back and we're like, wait a minute, this guy was winning too. Maurice been winning all camp, and he's returning kicks. You let him play well in the preseason, all of a sudden I think he puts himself into a role. So I think we're going to also see a lot of this shaking up as this continues because I think what we're going to see is a good preseason game. Someone stands out, and we're going to start to see reps shift through training camp, through practice is what we hear. We're going to see reps change. I just don't think wide receiver has any answers right now, like clear-cut, like this is the guy. Fountain's in the lead. He's in the lead right now by reps, and he is showing up in training camp. I just can't help but have personal concerns with how this is actually going to look. I hope he proves me wrong. I really do, because he's played well in camp. But I personally, like, if I was betting, I would not bet on Fountain over Peoples-Jones or Antoine Green right now. And it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, man. But that's based on the past, not what he's doing right now. So, again, that's not like I don't believe in him. I just need to see it. You thought Raymond was receiver 3. I look at Raymond as receiver 3 because Raymond's not going anywhere. He's going to make the team. You can call him. I don't get caught up in number. I don't think the numbers matter. We know what Khalif Raymond's role is. There's certain things that they're not going to ask him to do, and that's why Fountain, Green, and Peoples-Jones are all kind of battling for, like, hey, I can do this, even though you're not going to ask it. Like, because you're not going to ask Khalif to do things that Peoples-Jones gets asked to do, Fountain gets asked to do, or even Antoine Green really gets asked to do. And Antoine Green's got to extend that part of his game. Khalif has a different role than all of those guys. So because of that, Khalif's going to make the team. To me, he's a lock. It's just you're finding the other piece that can add something different that Khalif doesn't bring. Because there's certain things that Khalif just doesn't get asked to do, and I don't think he'll ever get asked to do those certain things. Really hope they both make it. What's up, Ryan? I see you. Ben said it will come down to length if they have the choice to length, like length of the receiver. Both Peoples-Jones and Brown are long. What did I miss? Not much. We're just getting started. We're going through one-on-ones right now. Okay, where are we at? So then we had, okay, I talked about the Enos one. That was nice. Solid position by Gilmore, but he was beat by Kennedy on a comeback route. Gilmore, to me, today, struggled a little bit. Gilmore struggled a little bit. Like, you would see flashes in the past where vertically he'd get grabby. He'd get a little bit grabby. You'd see some flags. Today, to me, was probably the worst that I think I've seen him through one-on-ones. Even in a play like this, where this was not bad positioning, he was beat by Tom Kennedy on a nice comeback route. This was not his best one-on-ones, and he didn't have that flash play to kind of make up for it. And maybe this is what Dan Campbell is really speaking on when he talks about him is it's not as much for him like, hey, go make more plays on the football. Like, we know you're going to do that, but it's like not also on the flip side giving up flags and getting beat by Tom Kennedy. Like, he's not shutting down guys, but he's also giving you plays in return. So it's trying to just find more consistency there. Fountain then had the corner win, but it was out of bounds, and the flag was called on Arnold. The referee said it was out of bounds. Fans thought he caught it. I don't know. The ref said it was out. It looked like a catch, to be honest, but the fan said he caught it. But the ref said it was out of bounds, and that was on Terran Arnold, who was also caught for a flag for being a little bit grabby on the outside. Here's the thing, man. Fountain can absolutely take the top off, and when you don't have safety help on these one-on-ones, he could take the top off, man. And, again, just finishing is going to be key for him. Mosley had a nice rep here. It was a curl to Traquan Smith. He's another big body receiver. We don't talk about Traquan enough. He just doesn't make consistent flash plays, but he pops here and there. And this was one that was covered well by Mosley. Was incredibly physical through these one-on-ones. Meek Robertson had a big-time press against Antoine Green, which to me kind of shook everything up. So that was a good win by Meek Robertson. That was followed by Emmanuel Mosley rerouting a slant on Brian Calhoun. And he still caught the ball. Like, Mosley met him at the line of scrimmage, rerouted that thing, threw off the entire timing. He was able to step in front of Mosley and catch it, but he may have gained like a yard or two. Like, that was a win. That was about as close as you can get to a win as a defensive player while the guy still catches the football. So Mosley showed a lot of physicality through this drill. He was getting on people, man. He looked like he had something to prove as soon as we got out there to one-on-ones. A pretty stutter move, but Dorsey stayed on an incomplete pass to St. Brown. St. Brown, super nifty. And I think, honestly, if the route was an in-breaking route, it would have been an easy reception. But he ran like a double move that broke back outside. Khalil Dorsey's, was it Khalil Dorsey? Yeah, it was Dorsey. He started to stumble, but because it went back outside, he was able to stay with him, and it was incomplete. It was like it was a corner route. He had a step. I think the ball came out a little bit late, too. Probably could have been easier if the ball was out sooner. So he was actually contesting an incomplete pass there. So it was a win for the defense, but at the same time, the ball could have been caught if it was a different route, or if it was probably an earlier thrown pass. We saw a near interception by Kendall Vildor. Okay, I forgot about this one. I'm glad I put note of this. Let me this was on Isaiah Williams. Kendall Vildor nearly came up with an interception. So this was actually a really good one-on-one for Vildor. Probably the best one that I have notes of so far through camp. Enos Rakestraw on Jamison Williams. This was pretty. This was pretty because he didn't get up and get contact immediately. he more played catch as a cornerback here in man coverage, right, on these one-on-ones, but he mirrored Jameson Williams to the point where people were like, yo, that looks good for Menas. And I think what ended up happening is Jamo still caught the football contested, but you could see the mirror, and he kind of threw off the timing a little bit with the footwork there. And this was also great because, we talk about slot and those kind of things, getting reps there, but to line up with Jamo one-on-one, it was nice to see him stick in front of that. It also does speak to, still maybe, and again, that's why having a big body is going to be nice for the Lions because, running those routes with Jameson, he's a separator. Finishing contested is huge, but he's not just going to box people out like some of those bigger receivers can. So in a rep like this, you could see Rakestraw kind of stuck on top of the route, but he did finish contested, and that's huge. It's like him continuing to finish their contact. We got a couple more. I had Alex with a win on a curl. Amik Robertson with great coverage on Khalif, but the throw was behind. So this was one where it was great coverage. The ball was still catchable. It was still catchable potentially, though, but the ball was just behind him. And then we had Carlton Davis on St. Brown. He was called for a flag there. Okay, this one was nice. Pace under coverage on Smith. Fell into trail. Here's the last one. Arnold. Okay, so we saw Arnold, and I thought the pacing was really good. We saw Arnold really battle. So after the Jameson Williams one to be good things, he was called for the flag. Then we came back. He went to battle with Jameson Williams on an incomplete pass, and it was going to be a really tight grab attempt, on the sideline. It would have been an incredible catch, but it wasn't because Terrion covered him really well. So we've seen a real bounce back, and like you talk about, he's getting really the toughest matchups every time in these one-on-ones. But we're seeing him bounce back and show some real consistency there. So that's nice to see. But I think it was. I didn't put the name, which is the other one I was trying to read. Well, I think it was Khalil Dorsey, who ended up falling into trail, but he paced himself. He played with a lot of, calmness, and he stuck underneath the route on Traquan Smith, and he was able to contest the pass, and it was incomplete. But he was also kind of beat. That could have been Stephen Gilmore, though. It was one of those two. I'm mad I don't know who that one was. It was one of those two. So if we get Matthew Judon, I don't think we will. Only way I could see that, like I said, only way I could see something like that happening is trade deadline, because I don't think the Lions want to pay him a big deal. Bet my Navy buddy breakfast that Mosley would be on the field for the first team defensive snap against Stafford. They come out with 3 receivers. I think right now that's a safe bet. I think Mosley is the guy for that lead right now. And again, Branch played safety today. Branch still knows he could play nickel though. So again, if one of those guys are not playing well, they'll just put Branch back at nickel. But I think right now he's in the lead for that role. Also, Terrion, I've heard more about Rakestraw than him. Yeah, Terrion had a good day today for me through one-on-ones. Rakestraw obviously is playing different competition for the most part, but he got some tough matchups today. He did his thing, like I said. Look, man, Terrion Arnold's got all the traits, but Terrion Arnold, there's certain aspects of his game that kind of needed to be polished out. When we talk about straight man coverage, he's dealing with the best. He's going against the best. There are hit and miss, but the big thing about Terrion is he's bounced back. He hasn't had one where it's every rep is terrible. He's had good, he's had bad. I think he's settled in. I don't want to be cliche about that, but I really do think as training camps rolled on, he's looked better slowly. He's progressed. He feels like he's gotten better every practice that I've been to. So now we get to our first 11 on 11s, and this is what we're here for. We have the cap, though, only took a $5 million cap hit. Okay, wait, I think that was something different. Judon's going to – okay, so yeah, let's get to some of these 11 on 11 notes. So we start off with the ones first, and again, these were away from us, so it was difficult to see every player, so I was just trying to focus on one thing and then kind of see what happens. So the first play we had was Enos Rakestraw on Fountain. Let's just say Fountain. There was a flag on this play. It was a wide-open rollout. Fountain to the right. I put him on Fountain, but I think it dropped in the zone. Quarterback rolled to the right, found Fountain. He was wide open. The Lions have gotten a lot of these. We've gotten a lot of wide open guys, especially schematically. Ben Johnston's cooked. He's cooked on a lot of these. And today we got to see a lot more of the moving the pocket, rolling quarterbacks. Hendon Hooker ran in for a touchdown, just taking off on a bootleg. So we have seen some of that mixed in. It does feel like practice because certain days you get more heavily one thing. Certain days we've seen a lot of toss plays. Today we see a lot of hey, move the quarterback, bootlegs, rollouts. We're seeing a lot of variety. We are seeing a lot of that, a lot of different things. Based on what day it is in practice, we're seeing them try different things out. My man Bobo's in the building. Hello. How you doing, Bobo? Hey, man, look, we're about 30 minutes into this show, and we're going to continue with these 11 on 11s, man. We're just getting started here. But, as I said, if y'all are just joining now, link in the top of the description, man. BetUS is sponsoring today's live stream, but they're with us for the NFL season just like last year, man. I'm excited to have BetUS back with us this year. So let's get a quick little word from BetUS, and then let's get right back to these 11 on 11s.
Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
All right, man. We are back. We're back. I knew I was going to lose it. Okay. It's like I'm losing that thing, bro. I can feel that thing falling. All right, let's do this. Cornerback 1, Carlton, Terran 2, Mosley slot. That's what it looks like right now. Now, we've seen a rotation at safety, but today I think Kirby got more reps as a starting safety. So right now, that's what I would say it looks like, Charles. The next play, so this was Levi with a lean. We had a sack on this play. I had the sack for Aiden Hutchinson. Goff did take off and run. This would have been the second play. He took off and ran. I think it would have been a sack for Hutchinson, which I believe would have been the first sack that I have noted. Again, sacks are difficult because sometimes they don't blow the play dead, and you're like, I don't know if that's a sack or not. I don't think this one was blown dead. That's why he took off and ran. But also the players just finish things, right? So it's like when they break for a touchdown, you can't tell if it was a touchdown or if the defense kind of just stopped and he's just running after the play, like he's just finishing the play. Kind of what this was. But for me, this is my first noted, I think, Aiden Hutchinson sack. And that came on the second play. So, yesterday we talked about a lot of pressure, or 2 days ago, a lot of pressure the defense front was showing. And today I think we saw that kind of come back a little bit. And we're finding this defensive line start to break through a little bit. As training camp is rolling on, the defensive line is starting to break through a little bit, which is nice. But hey, Hutchinson was due for a win, and that was great to see. Then we had Amik Robertson in the slot. Man on Laporta, grabbed by Jack. So this was like a little angle route that they had on the play, and Jack Campbell actually got matched up with Sam Laporta one-on-one. I think he was in man coverage here. Laporta ended up coming up with this reception. So my man earlier said Jack Campbell struggling. If this was man coverage, he got beat on the play, but that's also understandable too because that's just not a good matchup. It's not a good matchup for many linebackers. Not a great matchup for Jack Campbell either. And we've looked at this like he's just tall at the top of the route, so like changing direction, and that's where he lost him. It looked like Laporta ran an angle route, but the flip side is the positive there is a variety from Laporta, like to run a route like that, to run a nice little angle route that was crisp, separated at the top there. We know how important Laporta is for us to just beat man coverage. So if that was man coverage, we want to see more of that. We want to see more of that consistently there because I'm sure normally lines are going to want to try to find that kind of matchup. Now we did start to see Enos Rakestraw mix in, and some of this could have been with two. Obviously, some of this was with reserves, but I did see Enos Rakestraw work in, and I believe this was with the first team where he was actually rotating in. And the first one I had noted was that he rotated in for Terran Arnold with Carlton Davis on the field. So this was something that we talked about with Easy is like, hey, Rakestraw, maybe get him in some first-team looks. Believe that he actually had some first-team looks today. Not a ton, but he did rotate in. D-rushing against second or third stringers on the O-line. No, I'm talking about first team. Now, second, third team, we've seen some good things from them the last few days. But I'm talking first team. Like 2 days ago, we started to see defense line kind of come through a little bit. Aleem McNeil was cooking. And then today, Hutchinson had the sack early. For me, personally, I thought it was a sack. But, yeah, first team offensive line versus first team defensive line. They started to break through a little bit. Then we saw Enos, he was beat on like an out route from Khalif Raymond. I thought maybe he was like bailing into zone coverage or something there. Sudfeld moving on to the second team now. And again, these are just 11, so this wasn't like situational yet. I had a sack for Mekhi Wingo on Nate Sudfeld. Mekhi Wingo's now done this a couple of times over this week. Couple of flash plays from Wingo. And here's the thing, like Wingo's going to get a lot of opportunity. I don't remember who it was, but I was looking at the comment section from the last video, and with not having John Kaminsky, we're seeing a guy like, Mekhi Wingo. He's going to get more opportunities, getting more snaps. We're going to start to see Betts, as well in there too. But Wingo, he's made a couple flash plays here and there. So, hey, keep balling, Wingo. I want to see this guy hit the field. Then we had an incomplete pass to Tom Kennedy. Mosley brought the pressure on the play, followed by a late find to Traquan Smith from Nate Sudfeld. So, again, we don't see a lot of Traquan, especially in the one-on-ones. He does not pop at all. But Traquan's also not really built like – see, that's the thing. Like, one-on-ones – and here's where this is difficult, right? One-on-one, certain players are going to be better than others. Like, Khalif Raymond one-on-one – he's almost impossible to guard, right? So if it was just one-on-one all the time, he'd probably be one of like the 5 best receivers in football because he's like impossible to guard. Guys like Traquan, they don't really separate a ton. Peoples-Jones does not usually excel in one-on-ones, but in team drills, then we start to see them kind of come through and they open up the middle of the field for us. Is the opposite rusher of Hutch. On that play, I don't know. Because of our angle, I didn't know who was opposite. A lot of times it's going to be Derek Barnes. We see that in base personnel when he steps down. But we've also, you'll see James Houston get a lot of those looks too. And then Marcus Davenport kind of mixes in at defensive end, but it's usually Davenport or Pascal, and I think Pascal is usually the guy that gets the nod there. But Marcus Davenport's obviously popped a little bit from him more recently, especially as a pass rusher. I did note that on the offensive line they had Dan Skipper. I believe Colby Sorstel was working at right guard. Again, this could be wrong, but I believe he was, from what I was able to tell. And the only reason I bring that up is because, Colby Sorstel, with losing Nite Mutai, the guard position, like still being able to show you can play some of that and have that flexibility. also could have opened the lines up saying, hey, let's get Dan Skippermouse some reps at right tackle because he was left tackle early, if you remember, and Sorstal was holding now right tackle. And now let's get Sorstal back to getting some looks at right guard to kind of prepare for that. So just another little side note that I think is worth mentioning right there. And then and that led to a deep out route that was caught by Caden Davis. He's starting to show a little bit more and more, like you're finding more consistency. And it's really the clip that we showed yesterday. It was Caden Davis, comfortability with these quarterbacks is big time. Like the timing every time they go to Caden Davis seems to be superb, man. They are on really good connection. These quarterbacks are. Nate Sudfeld specifically with Caden Davis. Man, I think Davis is going to be a problem when the preseason hits because they're going to be comfortable with him as soon as the preseason starts. Sacked by Kurt. Okay, wait, hold up 1 second. Let me get there. Let me go plug this in real quick, and then we'll continue. Let me plug this in. All right, I don't want to lose that. I can't lose that. We're going to have a problem. All right. This looks hey, yo, no, this looks crazy. All right, it's fine. We're about to get to some of these situational drills. These linebackers are going to dominate this season. Man, I hope so. I mean, that's, we're all talking about we want to see that step from Laporta. That's the key. But I think Barnes is going to be really good. We're already getting a sense of how good Barnes is going to be. Let me see. So where are we at? Okay. Then we had a sack. Joseph, incomplete. Mosley on an out route. Mosley was in coverage there. Let me continue. So now we go to Hendon Hooker. And Hendon Hooker, he had a bad interception today. And Hendon Hooker actually ended the day with an interception, which was not great. We know yesterday was kind of rough. I think a lot of people were talking about that. And we got to see Manu. I believe Manu was getting reps at right tackle. So I just want to kind of make note of that. We had a little check down. Huge game by Craig Reynolds. I think this was like if I remember correctly, this was a really good grab by Craig Reynolds to find the check down late. Craig, he's showing some things as a pass catcher, which we haven't always seen. Not in the fact that he's like running a diverse route tree. It's usually just him out of the backfield running into the flat or a crossing route or something like a drag. But he's making a lot of his opportunities when the ball gets in his hands as a pass catcher. What's good, D? How's my nephew doing, Nate Lynn? Honestly, I haven't noticed Nate Lynn really at all to this point. So, again, like, maybe I'll be able to pick up more tomorrow. I'll have to look for him. Like, that's one of those guys I do want to focus on. Hopefully they're on our side so we can actually see. But I honestly haven't really noticed Nate Lynn at all. Did you mention Iffy at all? I don't think I've mentioned Iffy yet, but we're going to. We are going to. We're not there yet, but we're going to. This is just kind of finishing up the early 11-11. So we had that huge check down to Craig. Then we had another sack, and to me this was a coverage sack. Hooker took off on the play. I don't know who actually got the sack, but I had a coverage sack listed, so that's good. He got through multiple reads and had nowhere to go with the football. Enos was then rotated back in for Meek Robertson, so we saw him still working some reserve reps. And this was a deep curl to Caden Davis. So again, Hendon Hooker comes in, finds the deep curl kind of late on the play to Caden Davis. So like I said, Caden Davis is... I'm telling y'all, Caden Davis is coming around right now, and I've heard other people now starting to acknowledge that too. Caden Davis, I think, is going to be a problem. I think he's going to be a problem when preseason starts. He's going to show out there. Then we had a false start. Then we had a false start. Then I had a list, and the very next play I listed a sack, and then I also had Duron Gilbert and Mitchell Agood with a win on their offensive tackles to get some pressure. And you can see this from the outside to the inside. Duron Gilbert, he's kind of a sleeper because the first time I had noticed this, I was like, wait, that guy wasn't playing on the line of scrimmage, was he? But Duron Gilbert actually has been getting some work working on offensive tackles, and he's actually shown some things there. I mean, he's not really built like your normal linebacker. If you know Duron Gilbert, he's extremely skinny. He's like a safety playing linebacker, but he's actually done some work, especially on like third downs, things like that, rushing and getting after the quarterback. So that'll be something to keep an eye on as well when preseason starts for him, is just the flash plays that he gets as a pass rusher. So I think now we get it. Okay, here's the weird thing about this. So we're about to get into situational stuff, but this one was like it felt like they were just doing one. I don't know if I missed the board or something, but made it 4th and 4 with the ball on the 38. And they just ran one play here. So I don't know what they were going for. Sudfeld was the quarterback. It was man coverage, and it was an incomplete corner route. Kirby Joseph, I thought, had good coverage on the play. So that's one of your notes for safety there. All right, with that, let's now move on to this. So we had the kickoff return stuff. And the kickoff return stuff, like, we're not seeing Baki over there. But, again, if he was banged up on one-on-ones, then he couldn't be over there. But what we did see is we saw Jameson Williams. We saw Jahmyr Gibbs both back there getting looks. I know Jahmyr Gibbs did return a kickoff. It's difficult to gauge who's actually doing well, and it seemed like Jake Bates was doing a lot of different kickoff types to kind of test some different things. He showed some squib kicks. I think he kicked one out of bounds. He booted a couple deep. Apparently, he hit one of our, he hit one of our return man like that were on the front line. So we saw a lot of variety in terms of kickoffs. They weren't all good, but we saw it. Fountain or Caden Davis that came down to one open spot. See, here's the challenge with that is Fountain brings something different. And I think what Fountain brings, the Lions would like. Honestly, like if it ended today, if I was guessing, I would think they would keep Fountain. For me personally, I think when it's all said and done, I think it's Caden Davis. I could be crazy. And here's the thing. If you keep Caden Davis, honestly, you could keep both. Like if you kept 6 receivers, you could. But the thing is with Caden Davis is I think Antoine Green's going to have a lot that could kind of mess with that, right? Like if Antoine Green makes the team, keeping Caden Davis and Antoine Green over keeping a guy like Fountain or Donovan Peoples-Jones would be a little bit surprising because then they would kind of be losing that like true aspect, or Traquan Smith. It'd be a little bit surprising to me for them to keep both. And so that's the challenge. But for me personally, like if you're simply just taking the best regardless of like how he fits, I think Caden Davis is going to end up being awesome, and he's going to be difficult to keep from making this team. That's where I'm at with it right now. So we got to see Isaiah Williams return some kicks. We got to see Alexander return some kicks. We got to see Tom Kennedy return a kick. So we had just a couple different looks here. I noticed some things from kickoff, but I honestly don't want to go through that. All right, so now let's move back. Let's go back to the first team. Let's go back to some of the 11-on-11s here. So we start off with a 3rd and 2 from the opponent's 22-yard line with 33 seconds. So this kind of gets you started into some of those situational drills that we had. So just bear with me as we kind of go through these. Let me make sure I have the right notes here. Okay, yeah, we do. Okay, so it started off with a little underneath pass to Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, here's what also has to be noted here. I believe that they weren't actually taking in, like, let's say the ball was dropped, right, and it was thrown 5 yards. They were still pushing the ball ahead 5 yards and just running plays. So they didn't actually have to make the play for the ball to be moved forward. And this was like the first time. Now, when we came back to it, situationally, we didn't do that. But the first time they were doing that situationally, for whatever reason, they were just still moving the ball. Probably just to get like different looks, like what plays can we run from the 2-yard line and the 8-yard line. Like that's seemingly what they were doing. So the result didn't even have to be there, and they would still move the ball forward. But the first one was a grab by Jahmyr Gibbs to get things started. Then they ran a wide zone play, which was, to me, a great run by David Montgomery. It was like a medium game, but it was a great run by Montgomery. We talked about him a little bit yesterday as well. And then we had Brian Branch. So I noted Brian Branch was at safety. They called iffy with a flag, and this would have been – no, excuse me, not iffy with a flag. It was Brian Branch at safety with Iffy Melifanu. So that's what someone asked earlier, like iffy. Like, yeah, they did rotate. So it was Kirby first, and then you started to see Iffy Melifanu work with Brian Branch. And we saw like an angle route for Craig Reynolds. This ball went through his hands, and they still moved it up for the 4-yard line. So that was weird because I was watching it. I'm like, oh, he didn't catch that. And then they moved the ball up. I'm like, did he catch that? I don't think he caught the ball. I'm pretty sure they were just moving the ball up because then I was able to confirm that as it continued. But Craig Reynolds, so that I guess that time he didn't make the play. So, you got to make all those plays when they're out there because, again, he doesn't do a ton like variety-wise as a receiving back. He has made some big plays once the ball gets in his hands, just like – and we know that he has good hands, but you got to take advantage of all those opportunities. Boom! How you feel? Hey, I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling better that we're live now. I'm actually feeling way better. Again, we're going to be live at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be over there on Bleacher Report, man. So make sure that after the show, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, you go over there. We're going to do some roster predictions. So if y'all want to see right now where my 53-man roster prediction is, we'll do that at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll save that for this. Today, we're just going through the notes over here from today's practice. Let me continue down. So then we had it. Okay, so they put it at the 4-yard line. Then we had an incomplete pass to Sam Laporta, which was in front. Then they pushed it to the 2-yard line on 3rd and goal. And Goff had a nice little rollout. This is the first time I noted Levi. I remember this play vividly. It was a rollout, so I don't know exactly how the lane opened up. It could have been like it could have been just a free lane for Levi to take off field. But on this designed rollout, 3rd and goal from the 2, Levi split the blockers, got upfield, and forced Goff to quickly throw this away. This actually could have been a problem in a real game if Levi got through there because I don't know if he would have been able to get the ball away cleanly. But he very quickly got up on Jared Goff, and he had to throw the ball at the back of the end zone on a 3rd and goal from 2. And when he threw it, he wants to try to at least get a shot to the end zone, but Goff's willing to just throw it away. However, Levi ended up kind of getting back there and kind of blowing things up on that opportunity. They moved that to the second team, and this immediately was I believe it was Enos Rakestraw who jumped the route and came up with an interception on the first play. So I guess I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Enos Rakestraw. They started at the 19-yard line, and the very first play, Sudfeld threw an interception to Enos Rakestraw. Again, underneath coverage, kind of just jumping underneath the route. So now, again, a guy that didn't have much ball production in college, once again, underneath, comes up with taking the football away. Yodos, what I missed. Honestly, man, we've talked a lot about one-on-ones, but we're really now diving into some of these 11-on-11 notes, so I think you're good. Hendon Hooker will be set by preseason. I thought he was better today. He was better today, and he gets a lot of extra work in. Like, he gets a lot of extra work outside of, like, when they're doing their team drills. He goes off. He works with a couple, like, the trainers. I don't know if I want to call them a couple coaches, and just working on ball placement, things like that. So he does get a lot of extra work in. But Sudfeld got things Enos got things started. Then they went to a run. They picked up about 2 yards. They moved it up to the 10-yard line. So now they picked up about 2 yards from the 10-yard line. So now they moved it to the 8-yard line. And this was Jahmyr Gibbs. I believe this was Gibbs. It could have been Jermar, though, because they look kind of similar from that far away. But I believe it was Gibbs. I would be a little surprised if Gibbs was working with the second team at all. But I believe it was Jahmyr Gibbs, and he caught like an angle route and scored a touchdown. It could have been Jermar Jefferson. I believe, though, it was Jahmyr Gibbs that ended up punching it in. Then they moved it to the 4-yard line after they had already moved it up. And then they moved it to the 2-yard line, and this was kind of that one was incomplete. Then they moved it to the 2-yard line. It was a boot rollout to Shane Zylstra, who was wide open. You guys know they kind of roll out wide open, in the side of the end zone. And like I said, Shane's actually made a lot more plays where he's popped a lot more in practice recently. I think he's playing with a lot of confidence. I think Shane's playing with a ton of confidence. He's one of the more forgotten tight ends, I think, on this team. So don't overlook Shane because he's kind of coming along as time goes on. Ben Johnson is going to say anything bad about Hooker. Doesn't want to ruin his confidence. Truth is he's struggling in camp. He's struggling, but it's also, I don't know. It's understandable, right? Like, it's understandable, like, where he's struggling. But at the same time, like, it's not all on him necessarily. Like, again, Sudfeld threw a pick today. He threw a pick today. It was better, though. It was definitely better, though, for Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker laid one of the best throws of practice. Hendon Hooker may have had, I would say, the second best throw of practice today. I think the first one was Goff, and we're about to get to that. That throw was disgusting. But the second best pass was probably Hendon Hooker in a situational drill. It just so happens that he ended the situational drill with an interception, so you kind of forget about the good play that got him down there. I heard the Easy Dose 2024 campaign slogan is everyone gets a backup. Okay. Hey, yo. I like what you did there, Brett. That's actually kind of slick, but no, that's not the slogan. I don't endorse that. Hey, Dose, who do you think will earn tight end 3? Honestly, based on what I've seen so far, tight end 3 for me, I'd bet on Shane Zylstra. Unless they go with like Hesse for fullback. James Mitchell hasn't taken those roles. Mitchell hasn't popped a ton to me. Really, none of them have really popped like that. Like Brock, I haven't noticed Brock, I don't think at all, outside of like getting his block shed and stuff. But I would say right now, from what I've seen, Shane Zylstra's probably the guy. Shane Zylstra's probably the guy that stood out the most there. Personally, right now. So moving back to Hendon Hooker, and again, I know that Amik Robertson was that corner here, and this was a little drag route that he threw to Jermar Jefferson. I know this one with Jefferson for a fact, and Jefferson made a great catch. Like, he was late on the play, he kind of found the check down, and Jermar Jefferson, ball behind him, acrobatic, great grab. Like, even though none of these running backs are running like super complex routes, I mean, you'll see sometimes where they'll motion out and then they'll run something like an angle route like we talked about. But that was one of the best catches of the day. And then he started to utilize his athleticism, which was Hendon Hooker did like a play action boot play. And immediately he tucked it, took off to the end zone, and they scored a touchdown. So he was very decisive there. And it almost felt like it brought some comfortability out for him to be on the move and just let him play fast, because he quickly made that decision, like, I'm taking off, and he ran to the end zone. So we got to see some athleticism there. Put the ball then at the 8-yard line, and they ran a wheel route here. This pass maybe catchable, but it was pretty heavily contested. I think this one was. I listed this one to Caden Davis. I don't know that it was for sure, but this one was contested really well by Ben Neiman on the play. And that's like the first time I had noted Ben Neiman. Neiman was in a good spot. He wasn't in a spot to actually make a play on the football, but he was like face guarding him, and he actually covered the wheel route pretty well. Then they moved it to the 4-yard line, as I said, as they've been doing. They did the outside zone. Jake Funk was absolutely stuffed. I mean, maybe a yard on the play. So then they put it at the 3-yard line, and this is when they threw kind of a fade route, and here was Peoples-Jones. He scored the touchdown on Stephen Gilmore. Now, it wasn't like your typical fade route where it was like, hey, go up and get it. He threw like a fade route, but the cornerback wasn't even in a jump ball position. He kind of just toe tapped the sideline and scored a touchdown. So Peoples-Jones did get a touchdown, and he got it in the goal line situation, which is a place that we know he can add value. So maybe he can separate himself like that by just putting more of those plays out there and building confidence there. Like I said, it was not Gilmore's best day by any means. Like, one-on-ones were not good. He gives it a touchdown there. And then we go back to the first team, 3rd and 2 from the 16. I noticed both safeties were out there, and this is where we had the first play, I believe, was a sack by Levi after first read interior. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. So Levi ended up getting a sack I had on the first play. So it was 3rd and 2. They were situationally in a spot where they needed to come up with a field goal or touchdown to win, I think it was. And they were at the opponent's 16-yard line, and this was the first team offense. Very first play, bam. it's a sack. And Levi didn't now do it from defensive end. He did it from the interior, one from the inside very quickly, came up with the sack. Offense had to race onto the field, and this is where they were kind of like disorganized. Jake Bates went out there and missed a pretty easy kick. Like, it wasn't that far. He missed a kick. And Dan Campbell afterwards, like, kind of just went into the huddle of everybody, and I couldn't hear what he's saying. He seemed pretty upset, like, with how sloppy the process was. I believe there was even a flag that was thrown there as well. Yeah, there was a flag. So that wasn't great. But Levi did his thing. Like, he threw things off because they had to rush onto the field. You don't endorse that joke either. Okay. All right. Now we're going back to situational. Yeah, things are getting fun here. So first thing we had was down by 6 with 31 seconds from the opponent's 41-yard line and 2 timeouts. So this is the first team. And it started off with Derek Barnes, who I thought nearly came up with a sack on the play. Goff got the ball out, took a deep shot and a deep corner route that was contested extremely well to James Williams. This time, Carlton Davis was in a really good spot. It was incomplete. This one got a lot of, like, audience attention, but this was good. This was really good from Carlton because we've seen him one-on-ones get beat over top. You put him in a team environment, and we've all seen, like, cover threes look really good. And in this spot, he was in good position, incomplete pass, trying to take a shot over top. Again, Barnes, you feel his presence. Listed him with a near sack on the. I said he hadn't had a sack yet for me. Near sack on that first play of this, and they knew they were throwing the ball. So again, that's the thing too is, like, I guess they didn't know they were throwing it. They could have ran it, but there was a good chance they were going to throw the ball. And for him to make a play like that immediately, I'm telling y'all, man, Derek Barnes has rounded out his game. It's gonna be hard to keep him off the field. Then with 24 seconds left, Levi, and I saw this one cleanly. Levi cleanly beat Kevin Zeitler at right guard, and I thought he had a sack. Now, Goff checked it down to Sam Laporta. They counted the check down. I thought it was a sack on the play. But again, Levi, this is the third time. So got upfield, then came up with a sack from interior, and then this one where he cleanly beat Kevin Zeitler immediately off the line, who likes to get on guys quickly. And he got after the quarterback, and I thought it was a sack. They called it a check down to Laporta. But 3 times now I've lifted Levi. That's the most that I've listed him so far in the training camp. Dose, if the Lions aren't happy with Davenport, who should they pick up? If they weren't happy, I don't think that they're unhappy. I'm excited about Davenport a lot. If they weren't happy with Davenport, who they pick up, I know, like, Judon's the popular name. I mean, the thing is, like, if you're going to get a legitimate starter, you're probably going to have to trade for him, right? That's not on the free agent market. Other than that, though, you probably just got to let it ride. Also, keep in mind, Josh Paschal's still here, and he's taking a lot of the Team 1 reps. So Paschal is also kind of their other guy for that role as well. And even though I haven't noted Paschal a ton, that's where Davenport can separate himself as being more consistent as a pass rusher, but it's also where Barnes comes into play because Paschal doesn't have to be a dominant pass rusher. He can just be a plus pass rusher as long as he plays the run really well, which he has gotten better at every year, and Derek Barnes starts to up his ability to get after the quarterback. It's not as crucial, I think, that they're getting that from the opposite edge position. And again, the coverage is helping because I already named in here a coverage sack that they had. So the coverage is helping occasionally as well. Am I crazy to think we're going to have the number 1 offensive football this year? It's a good question. In football this year, I see Dan wanting to have big leads. No, I mean, I don't think that's crazy, man. Ben Johnson's get guys open all the time. He gets guys wide open in practice, and they see him every day. Like, I don't think it's crazy. I think that things need to come together in terms of figuring out some of the receiver position to just build trust. But outside of that, it's a lot of guys returning. Pass protection has been really solid through camp until the last couple of days, and you start to see some pass rush. So I don't think that's crazy at all because the run game's going to be big time too. Barnes gets a lot of credit for AA, for Alex Anzalone for helping him. I believe that. That's awesome. DJ Reader may not play until week 1. No training camp. Is that a concern? I don't know if it's a concern for me. Like, I don't think he needs training camp. I want to have him out there, though. The positive is I think Pecco has actually shown some good things. Like, he's not DJ Reader, but he's actually done a solid job. And Broderick Martin as well has gotten a lot of reps in there. And you can tell he's working on things, even though he's maybe not all there yet. But Pecco is going to be very important in the meantime if we do not have DJ Reader get things started. That'll be the biggest thing. But we made it work last year. Like, we can make it work. It just, I think he takes us to another level, especially from interior pass rush. But now it's starting to come along, and let me not overlook Levi because Levi, like, again, the last couple of days, today especially, he's really coming along fast, and he's getting some of these wins from the interior. So that was that one. Then they moved it to 18 seconds, ball at the 31-yard line. Noted Aiden Hutchinson with the pressure. So again, this is the third straight play I noted pressure when they know you're throwing the ball. So as we know, this kind of puts it all in a full circle, right? Like, Lions want to get better at getting pressure. Okay, well, you have to stop them the first couple downs because when they're in a situation like this where they know you have to throw, 3 straight plays, I list guys. Derek Barnes the pressure. Levi gets a sack I had him with. Then here comes Hutchinson again. Soon as they feel like they have to throw the ball, pressure just cranks up entirely. It's a whole different thing. When it's first down or when they're just going through play after play, pressure does not feel the same. Like, you'll get flashes, but it doesn't feel the same unless you go to second, third unit where blitz are getting clean. So it's going to be very important for the Lions to build that lead, but also really stop the run. It's going to start there because clearly they can get after it from what we're seeing right now when they get into a spot where they kind of know you have to throw the football. That's a huge positive. But this one was also dropped. So pressure off the edge from Hutch. Goff stepped up, threw like a deep dig route. This one was dropped by Jamison. It was contested well. Don't know if he was hit on the catch, but it was pretty well contested. Regardless, though, he should have came up with this football, and he did not come up with the football. So that was like one of the knocks that we have after, a lot of really good days ago. That was one of the knocks that I had there. That one just should have been caught, though. Safety got down on the play. So now 12 seconds from the 31-yard line. Again, Goff steps up in the pocket, finds Sue. He finds Fountain for a first down. And now they put 5 seconds on the clock. The ball is the 18-yard line. And this was probably the best execution I've seen so far through camp. So watch this execution, right? So you go from having a play where Jamison drops a big deep dig route. And usually when that happens, you get into trouble, right? We've seen that happen in the past. You leave opportunities on the field. How do they respond, though, to their guy that is taking that step up in a ball that was very catchable, contested heavily, that Goff gave Jamison a chance, and he did not come up with the football? And they respond, and I want to see Jimbo come up with those. Like, he's got to be very consistent in contested situations this year. But it was one of those deep dig routes where he hasn't constantly been dominant, but he needs to add that to his game this year. But you come back with a pass to Fountain, who gets himself open, picks up a first down. Then they put 5 seconds on the clock. Was it 5? 5 seconds from the 18-yard line. The Lions need a touchdown. This is what they do. Amon-Ra St. Brown out route. And I'm watching this like this is going to the end zone. He throws an out route to Amon-Ra St. Brown with 1 second. And it wasn't like they left the second on there. Like, they executed very quickly, got the 1 second. They then had the ball at the 10-yard line. And this was the throw of the day to me. I even listed in my notes as a dot. This thing was beautiful from Goff. 1 second left. They needed to score a touchdown. It looked like the Lions only brought maybe a 3-man rush. They dropped out here. They didn't bring pressure, which usually we see from, Aaron Glenn. But he changed it up. He dropped out, probably trying to throw off our offense. And Goff had all day at the beginning. Like, he had all day. Then he started to kind of move around. And I'm like, okay, he's moving, but it didn't seem necessary. And I'm like, I don't like this. This is going to get bad. He started to roll around. And even though it's going to be listed as pressure, I thought Goff created that pressure because he started to, run out of the pocket. But what he did well is he extended the play by running around behind the line of scrimmage, stepped up, and threw a pass into the back of the end zone that was a toe tap on Carlton Davis. And I believe it was Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that ended the drill with a touchdown. It was the best throw maybe I've seen of camp. The situation, the execution, that thing was on the money. He ripped that thing, but understanding the situation too. Like, it was also good awareness, like, hey, I didn't throw the ball away. Like, people getting on Goff for that early. He didn't throw the ball away here. He stepped up and he ripped that thing to the back of the end zone, and it was beautiful toe tap on one of your best corners, extending the play, and it ended the situational drill there for the first team with a Goff touchdown, and probably my favorite play so far of camp outside of the Carlton Davis PVU a couple days ago. Probably my favorite play that I've seen so far. That thing was disgusting. Now we move on to the second team, and they're down 3 with 44 seconds. So we actually had different situations here. Why are people okay with Fountain, DPJ, and Green, but aren't with? Hey, that's actually Trey. That's an interesting point. I mean, I'm very okay with the defensive end position. I like how you flipped. I'd be more concerned with receiver, but I'm very okay with the defensive end position personally. Again, I really don't. I do not buy into the issue last year is Lions didn't have enough pressure players. No, their coverage was terrible. Like, bro, they could not play man coverage. Like, they had Brian Branch who could do it, and that was it. Like, you had one guy that could play man coverage. You were limited. You had a double team. You had to give so much help. Like, the Lions being able to cover at a higher level will change everything for this front. And they still are one of the top pressure rates team. I do not buy into, and you can obviously get better there, but I do not buy into that's the Lions' main issue defensively. It is the fact to me that they struggled to cover so much. So that picking up, to me, will be the game changer. So now you go to the second team. And very first play, haven't mentioned him yet, Davenport working on our left tackle, bull rush, sack. Very first play. And this picks up, and this is so great, because this picks up from a couple days ago, right, when we had the behind-the-scenes access, that kind of thing, and I was like, yo, Davenport, as soon as he got in the second team, had a sack. As soon as he gets in there against the second team, sack, first play, boom. And I think he was probably going against Giovanni Manu, first play, sack. And it's situational, so they can't have that. So now 38 seconds. The ball's now on the 48-yard line. They go with a little check down to Tom Kennedy. They use their final timeout because they already had to use one because of the sack to get things started. To the 43-yard line. Now it's wait, hold on. Let me get this right. 43-yard line, low in post Kennedy, so push inside. Okay, I don't know what that one is, to be honest. But now they're okay, so let's just skip that one. I think it was just a short pass they picked up. So now 29 seconds, 4th and 5. They went for it. Now, I don't know if this means anything, right? But they were from their opponent's 43-yard line. And instead of trying the down by 3, 61-yard field goal, they instead just said go for it, which maybe because they just wanted to see if the offense would be able to pick it up. So they decided to go for it. And I liked it because Sudfeld stood in. He took a monster hit. He understood the situation. He delivered an out route to the sideline, and the ball was incomplete on the play, but he stand and took a big-time hit. Ife Melifonwu, there you go, another mention. Ife Melifonwu came up with the pass break up there, so really good coverage in the back end. Then we got to see the third team situationally, and this was the last situational drill, so we're about to go through it here. Third team, 1:31 seconds, own 30-yard line, down by 7. First play, defense jumps off sides. I'm like, yo. They're at their own 30-yard line. First play, defense jumps off sides. So they move it to the 35. And this was the second best throw today for me. Hendon Hooker delivered a seam pass to, once again, Shane Zylstra, right inside the numbers, right? He's running right on the inside of the number. Seam pass, monster pickup. They went off sides, which is good, hard count. Immediately picked up a monster gain, got himself in a position to end up scoring. And it started off with that beautiful throw. So they get up there, they spike it with 1:16 left. Then he comes back to a little flat route, which is another good catch by Jamar Jefferson. Now 1:08 left. They throw a little spot route. Hendon Hooker does a spot route to Jalen Calhoun. And that puts them, I put them at the 10-yard line, but that doesn't feel right. I don't think they were that far up. It wasn't that far. They probably were a little bit further back than that. I think they're more like the 25-yard line. I think he picked up about 10 yards from the 35 to about the 25-yard line. And that is when the drill ended, because with 1:04 left, the Lions then had plenty of time because they immediately got downfield. Like they went from offsides, big shot play, spiked the ball, couple completions. They got downfield in a hurry. And if you remember, the situation was, make sure I got the situation right here. Situation was 1:31 at their own 30, down by 7. So they needed a touchdown. And again, we've seen this with Hendon Hooker, right? They used the movement today, let him roll out of the pocket, let him get comfy. And they try to zone read. They try to zone read with 1:04 left. Very short gain. He gave it to the back, short gain. And because of that, they had to race back to the line of scrimmage. I think they were trying to catch the defense off guard. Like, hey, they expect to pass. They thought they'd drop out, so let's try a zone read. We've seen the Lions do this. But it didn't work. So now they had to race back to the line to reset. And if you remember, actually, it should have been second down. There should have been second down. And this is where the drill ended. And now the second practice, I've noted him. The guy that ends practice is Malik Jefferson, the newly acquired linebacker from Dallas that picks off an out route. He undercuts it, takes it back, and that ends the drill. So it was a bad interception. I think for Hooker, the positive here was understanding being in a situation like that. I haven't seen him in a situation like that. And he delivered a really good throw. He had a trust to just let it rip on a seam. They utilized his legs a little bit. He found a flow. The issue is when things got disorganized, he quickly then threw an out route, and he threw in an undercutted route, probably was staring it down. I don't know. It happened really fast. But he probably got into a mode where he was just like, this is the read. I got to look here. And I believe he just kind of stared down the out, and he threw it, and Malik just jumped it, showing that athleticism, picked it off, and he ended the day. So, again, Malik Jefferson, he's still making plays. And what I like is he's doing this in coverage. But I think that Hendon Hooker got a little bit like caught on just staring the receiver because things got disorganized with the last run. They had to hurry up, and now it was like pressure moment, and he just made a bad decision. And that happens. But he did really well up to that point, but then he made a bad decision. But, yeah, it's a good way to learn. That'll probably stick with him. We just need to see him bounce back. It wasn't a bad day of practice, I thought, for Hendon Hooker. He had a couple passes behind guys. But the last pick was the worst play, but it wasn't bad. Like, if you would have scored that drive, I would have walked away saying Hendon Hooker actually was pretty solid today. It was definitely a big step up. It's just that ended poorly. And the defensive pressure was getting there, as you said. Levi, those guys, like they were getting after the quarterback a little bit. So, look at me. Overall, man, this was a really fun day. Certain guys kind of like, hey, I'm back. Levi had his best day to me of the year. That's why I put him in a thumbnail. Caden Davis showed up again. Fountain made some plays. The one-on-ones were great. Enos is cracking his way into the first team. Brian Branch got some safety reps. I thought the safeties played well. Like the contested pass to J-Mo, that was the safeties getting on it. The pass breakup by Iffy, that was Iffy on it. It's another safety. Brian Branch playing at safety. Like the safeties played really well today. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I missed here. But the pressure was really the standout, right? We got to see, really everybody. Dron Gilbert got after it. We got to see Mitchell A. Good get after it. We got Levi popping. Aiden Hutchison, probably his best day for me working against the first team. So pressure came along today, and it's picked up now the last couple of days, excluding yesterday. But the last 3 days, the pressure has definitely picked up. And Goff has continued to look really good, like really good. That last touchdown pass he threw in that situation was disgusting. I hope they put a video of that up, please, Lions, because that thing was nasty. I want to see that from a different angle. They were getting a lot of pressure. They were getting after it today, man. The Levi win on Zeitler was my favorite because he got on him quick, and you could see it was like, boom, immediate. He was right by him. It was like, boom, that was nasty. Zeitler's a heck of a pass player. That was nasty. Who has the second most sacks this year? Second most sacks? Safely say Aleem. But I would that's tough. Here's the thing. Levi's playing everywhere. So if I was like the odds on it, for me, it would either come down to Levi or Davenport. I think the effort that Davenport plays with and the consistency on the edge, I would bet Davenport, but I'm not super sure I wouldn't want to go with Levi by the time we get to the regular season, just because he's playing everywhere. He's seeing the field a ton now, and if we don't have Reader, he's going to get in early, and he's now winning on the interior and on the edge. Levi is picking up these last. I mean, if he keeps building on this, he's going to be really tough. I'll go with Davenport for now, but Levi is absolutely now trending in the right direction. Like, I didn't put him in my standouts list because it was only like really one day that I was like, okay, Levi started to show some things. But to then put this day together, I was like, oh, okay, hold up. Levi is really going the right direction. James Houston, man, honestly, and that's the thing too, I probably should have said Derek Barnes, bro, because like Derek Barnes is, I would say Hutch 1, Davenport 2, Barnes 3, 4 Levi. That's I don't know. I don't want to put Barnes. I think Barnes 2. Barnes can get pressure. I don't think he'll get enough sacks. Flip that. Hutch 1, Davenport 2, Aleem 3. Hutch 1, Davenport 2, Aleem 3. I'll go Levi 4. Houston or Barnes 5. I don't know which one. Someone on the D line that's important is hurt. Do you think they have the leverage to stay in it? Wait. God forbid if someone gets hurt on the D line, that's important. Is hurt. Do you think they have the? So, the Levi flexibility has been huge. It's hard to gauge where he's at as a run defender, but if he's in a good spot there, I'm pretty confident. I like I said, I like we have an edge. I didn't even mention Josh Pascal, and he's probably gonna pick up 4 or 5 sacks. So I like what we have there. But I think Levi's emergence is gonna be crucial. If we don't have Reedy at the beginning of the season, and Pecco's kind of reliable, but Levi can take Pecco's role. And I think today we started to kind of see that. Like, Levi can absolutely take Pecco's role. And I think that's what we're starting to see. Well, you have to have Hutch at 1. Yeah, Hutch at 1. Did I not say Hutch at 1? And the Canadian kids? Are you talking about Betts? Right now I can't put Betts on there. I haven't seen it. I don't even know if Betts going to make the team. I thought he was coming into the year, but I need to see where that goes. Like, when we hear joint practices, we see him in preseason, we go back to training camp. I need to see where that gets to, maybe tomorrow, because as of now, I wouldn't be able to put him on there. So that are your notes from today's training camp. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. Again, 4 p.m. Eastern time. It's, 2:48. We're going to be live on Bleacher Report. We're going to go through our roster predictions, so you'll see where I'm at right now. Levi get 10 sacks would be crazy. I'd love that, too. That'd be like a Sue type of year. Hey, I hope he does. That'd be amazing. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Let me do this real quick. Let me just work it. Hey, this beat's fire, though. Hold up. All right. Now, again, we just got done with our notes. So, before we continue, got to give a shout out to BetUS, man. They are our sponsor reset that. Shout out to BetUS, sponsoring today's live stream. And for the rest of this season, as they did last season, man, I'm glad to be partnering with them again this year. And if you don't know who BetUS is, man, as some of y'all do remember, we worked with them last season. This is the sports book and casino. Right now, they're offering this awesome deal, 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits with a 10% gambler's insurance. And as you can see right here, football is kicking off today. And we have Houston, Chicago. Guys, you can bet the spreads on this. You can bet the spread. Who's doing that? You can do it, though. So if you're like, yo, I'm itching to get back into it, it's currently Houston -2. Personally, I would bet on Houston because I'm not a Bears guy. I just bet on Houston simply because of that. I bet on Houston there. So make sure you click that top link in the description. Again, they're having a really good offer right now. The top of the description has their link partnering with us for this season, man. Shout out to BetUS, man. And you will hear more from BetUS throughout the rest of the season. So shout out to them. Let me get myself back on the screen here. The big guy from Canada, Bada. Are you talking about Bada? Is that what you're talking about? I think that's what you're talking about. Bada is... Hold up. Let me reset. Bada, I noticed Bada earlier in practice. Haven't really noticed him that much as of late. I think the interior defensive line is kind of sorting itself out. Like, Pecco's getting a lot of first-team reps. Levi's now emerging. Aleem's going to be in there constantly. He's going to struggle to get a lot of reps, I think. That's going to be a problem. Dose-Man, is there segment on Bleacher Report on you? No, it's not. Segments from Bleacher Report just go to YouTube. Just go to Bleacher Report. Sometimes I'll have, like, clips that I'll put, like, from Bleacher Report on something else. But they're exclusively usually on Bleacher Report. And if you go to my page on there, if you go to Dose of Dion, if you go to my page on there, and I'll have the link in the community tab right before 4 p.m. Eastern time if you guys want to watch live. It's free. You just have to have the app or whatever, but you can go watch us. And all my other shows are also listed on there, too. So there's a lot of stuff. You want to see me talk about Matthew Judon 8 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago? I don't know how long it was. That's on there, too. Bad day for Gilmore. Not a great day for Gilmore, right? The touchdown to Peoples-Jones, started a little bit with the one-on-ones. Definitely not a great day for Gilmore. Now, vice versa, if someone on the offense line is hurt, do you think they have the depth? See, now that's – I don't know, to be honest, because I don't know. Like, I think Skipper playing multiple positions gives me some confidence. I think Michael Neese is going to win backup center, and he also has played guard, so I think they'll keep him. Sorstal will be here. We know that Manu will be here. I think Mahogany will be here, but we haven't seen anything from Mahogany. So I'm much more concerned about backup offensive line than backup defensive line, personally. I'm much more concerned with backup offensive line. McNeil and Reeder are starting at DT. Which one lines up next to Hutch or doesn't matter? It just matters, like, what front you're in. You know what I mean? So I think you're going to see a lot of – I'm trying to think. You're probably going to see a lot of Aleem McNeil next to Aiden Hutchinson. Trying to think if that's right. You'll see him over there. Yeah, and then you'll see Reeder next to Pascal and guys like that more often, or Davenport, and then you'll see your Derek Barnes step down as that Sandbacker. I think you'll see more of that, personally. I think you'll see much more of that. But to be honest, like, the key there for me, and I hear what you're saying, the key there for me, especially if you run some games, is those two in the interior, not as much like the edge presence. It's more like having Aleem next to Reeder is the key. More than having Hutch next to Aleem. Like, that's the key, is what they can do in the interior, because typically one of those guys are going to get doubled. At tackle, the only way you're going to get support is through a back, a tight end, or if you slide your protection. But otherwise, on the interior, like, someone's always going to take one if you bring a four-man rush and not blitzing. Someone's always going to get two guys. Center is going to go help. So typically, that's going to be the key, because somebody's going to get a one-on-one there. If that's Aleem, that's going to be a problem. If that's Reeder, he's a problem too. To get some double teams off Hutchinson. See that, and that's the thing, that I don't think he'll get many double teams off him, because let's say a guard, like if we have a four-man front and a guard goes to help on Hutchinson, then you're going to have a center that's going to have to slide over and take on our defensive tackle. And then you're going to have your left guard that's going to have to deal with the other defensive tackle. You're going to have one. Basically, the only way I see it is like if you're sliding that protection Hutchinson's way. But again, to me, the key will be the interior, because one of those guys are going to get two blocks a lot. So it's going to be about the other guy saying, hey, I'm winning this battle. Because then if that's the case, right, now again, Hutchinson won't get one-on-ones either, because they're sliding protection. And if you're sliding protection, you're not giving yourself that help to the interior or off the backside, and you're limiting your playbook. Or he'll get it through a tight end and a back, maybe a receiver where he lines up, like that kind of thing. But I think the interior is the key. Too bad no bugs. Yeah, it was unfortunate how that whole situation worked out, man. Hopefully everything's going well over there. Our DT are the key to get better. That's it, man. But honestly, like, again, I'm not concerned about our D linemen at all, to be honest. I'm really optimistic. And after seeing, today's practice and 2 days ago's practice, this defensive line looks really darn good. It looks really good right now, man. They look like the fourth best defensive line according to PFF. You know, they look really good right now. And having Davenport rotate is pretty nuts. To think that Davenport's like not just getting first team reps all the time, having him rotate in is crazy. It's crazy. So you have that, and then Derek Barnes where he's taken his game. Like, bro, I don't even know, honestly, what happened with the Bucs situation. I saw the dog thing. Oh, hopefully that's not true. Like, that's messed up. But, yeah, I haven't really kept up with it, to be honest. I don't. Talk about Jack Campbell. Heard he struggled today. I don't know. Like, what was it that they said he struggled with? And I could have just missed certain plays. Only thing I had with Jack Campbell in it was the little, like, angle route that he got put on with Sam Laporta, and Laporta had the grab. Outside of that, unless maybe it was the one-on-ones and getting beaten one-on-ones, now that's a possibility. But outside of that, like, I didn't think he was, like, exposed in team drills. He just didn't, like, make any plays in team drills from what I was able to take away. A lot of it was situational, so a lot of it was coverage stuff. But, yeah, I didn't really have, like, a strong opinion on Jack Campbell either way today, to be honest. And it's kind of like I said at the beginning, like, if he makes plays against the run, those aren't going to get the attention. What's going to get the attention is plays that he makes in coverage. And the one-on-one drills, obviously, that can be brought up. Like that's what's going to get the attention, like the one-on-one, if he's missing tackles there and that kind of thing. But in like terms of team drills, like making stops against the run doesn't get the kind of attention that it would in coverage. And he's not coming up with interceptions and things like that. You know, you think about it, Barnes wasn't really getting any attention until he came up with the interception. Now Barnes getting a lot of hype. But Barnes, before that, was showing some pressure, and that's what had me excited. Then he had the pick, and now it's like, hold up, watch out for Barnes. So if Jack Campbell gets an interception tomorrow, he'll get a lot of hype. I can almost guarantee it. I think Jack Campbell's one of those that's very difficult to gauge in training camp. I could do better probably with that. But I think it's also tough to gauge, too. It's just tough to gauge the run game in general. It's very difficult to separate that. Once we get to the preseason, we're able to actually rewatch and see how that looks. I think we'll get a much better sense of what it actually looks like. Hope Branch keeps healthy. Me too. It's good to see Branch back there. Like I said, I don't know why they didn't let him do the one-on-one against J-Mo. I was fired up, and then he's like, no, go, and then they just took him off. They're like, no, you can't do that. I don't know why. I was hoping they let him get that one-on-one off because I want to see what that was going to look like. That's not a matchup that you would hopefully normally see, but J-Mo has been playing in the slot, so you know it's a possibility that you can't get that matchup. But for me, yeah, I mean, do you see the situations when we have 4 on the line and using Houston and blitz 5? Absolutely. Like and that could be Barnes, that could be Houston, and especially with Houston is if it's a sub package, I think if he makes a team, he's going to be out there for most sub packages. I mean, I could see a scenario where if you know it's a pass, you put Houston out there, and you put Davenport in there, you put Hutchinson in there. They'll probably put Davenport and Hutchinson both on the interior, but Davenport could play both, and then they'll have to decide who else they want to put out there. Maybe Barnes to drop him out. I'm trying to think who else they would put, who would for sure be on the field. Let me do this because that's actually like they could put Aleem, but Aleem's usually doesn't usually get that look. Let me see. Maybe Levi. I don't know if Levi would get that look either, to be honest. Maybe Levi in certain spots. But a lot of times they like to put a linebacker on a line, like Jack Campbell we saw last year rush a lot. So if Derek Barnes continues to show what he can do as a pass rusher, he's probably going to get a lot of that role, and you'll see he's going to make it difficult for Campbell to find the field in obvious passing downs. Like that'll be the thing. But yeah, Houston and Barnes could both be on the field at the same time. From what you have seen so far, who's your starting on 11 on defense? I appreciate you, Ed, with the $4.99. So like I said, 4 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to go live over there. We're going to talk through roster predictions. But because you did the dono, man, I appreciate you. My starting 11 on defense right now, I'll do 2. If it was your normal 3 receiver set, if you want me to assume Reader, if I assume Reader's healthy, it'll be Reader, it'll be Aleem, it'll be Hutchinson. Probably right away, it'll probably be Josh Paschal. I'm trying to think based on what I've seen, I'd go Davenport, but it'll probably be Paschal. Let's go with Davenport from what I've seen. Let's go Davenport. And then I think you'll go Alex, you'll go Campbell. It'll go Terrion, it'll go Arnold, it'll go Mosley in the slot, it'll put Branch at safety, and I think Kirby Joseph will be the other safety. If I was guessing, that would be my guess right now. Week 1, first play, 3 receivers. That would be my guess on what it looks like. The great thing is, though, there's a lot of guys that I left off Iffy. I left off Levi. I left off Derek Barnes. I left off a lot of really good players because we're very deep right now. Like, so if a team goes, 2 tight ends, I think it'll be Derek Barnes, Alex, Jack Campbell. Probably Pascal then in that spot, more likely than Davenport, but it'll be one of those two: Reader, Aleem, and then Hutchinson. Now, if we take Reader out, honestly, if we take Reader out, I would bet it goes Lee McNeil and Levi in the interior and not Pecco. Even though he's looked good recently, I think Pecco wouldn't be in there. I think instead they'd actually go with Levi from what I've seen because he was awesome today. Maybe it's recency bias, I don't know. But I would bet it'd be Levi next to Lee McNeil with Hutchinson and then probably for sure Pascal. But dude, guys, just think about this. Your pass rush, if your 4-man front, and it starts with run, because like I said, as soon as they knew we had a pass today situationally, the pass rush was incredible. When they don't know if you're running or passing, the pass rush looks completely different. So that's step one. But if your front 4 is Davenport, Lee McNeil, Levi or DJ Reader, and Aiden Hutchinson, that is nasty. And then if you put Barnes down for what he's showing, that's a lot of pass rush, man. What's our NASCAR package? Yeah, that's the tricky one, though. I think Davenport gets out there. I think Houston will be out there as long as he makes the team. Hutchinson will be out there. And then it's trying to figure out who else would be out there. I don't know who else will be out there. I think Barnes occasionally will be. I'm pretty high on what I've seen recently from him. I think Barnes would occasionally be out there. And then maybe they put like Levi in there too. Levi could be one. I think Levi might be the guy they put in the interior just to let him roll and then put Davenport on the edge to collapse the pocket. Maybe step Hutchinson in the inside and put Barnes on the edge. That way Barnes can drop out and kind of disguise and go 3-man rush, those kind of things. But honestly, if they put a 4 down front, then Barnes would still be in there. So then you just put another defensive lineman in. And then at that point, see, usually this is where Kaminsky comes to play. At that point, it's either going to be Pascal in the interior or it'd be James Houston too. Because you could go something where you put James Houston on one side. You put James Houston on one side with speed. On the flip side, you put Davenport. In the interior, put Hutchinson with Levi or... I'm trying to think. See, look, now I'm confused myself. Or Pascal, probably Pascal. You think Rakestraw going to start? Not week 1. I don't think he'll start week 1. But I think by the end of the year it's possible. Terry on 1 and Arnold number 2. Terry on 1. Wait, did I? Oh shoot, did I say the same name twice? Hey, Carlton and Terrion. Carlton's going to start week 1, I think. But if someone does start, I think today we got to see kind of the crack, which would be Enos Rakestraw taking the spot of Terrion and not necessarily Carlton Davis. And that would have to, and I don't think that'll happen. So what'll have to happen is through the year, if Carlton misses some time, Enos would have to be the next guy up, because I think Mosley gets to right now who get to start in the slot with Branch at safety. Would we put? But then there's also the flip side where you could say, okay, put Mosley out wide, put Branch in the slot, put a different safety in. I don't know, but I think Enos actually really like where he's at. I thought Reader was mainly a run stopper. Okay, so you should go check it out. I have a DJ Reader video. Would we put DJ Reader out there on pass downs? I don't think they will. But I do think the numbers tell you that a guy that had a higher pressure percentage in terms of pass rush snaps last season than Lee McNeil can definitely get after it one-on-one. But no, I don't think he'll be out there on obvious pass downs. But yeah, statistically speaking, he was actually better than... Here, I'll do it live. I'll read it live. Because we did a video on this. You know what I'm going to do? Let me pull up the video, and then we'll get out of here. But let me pull up this video so I can go get prepped for the other show. And again, I'll put that link in the community tab. It won't be in there immediately, but just check it around like 4, because that's when it's going to start. We start on 4, at 4. The link will be in the community tab if you want to tune into that. And that'll be 30 minutes just talking roster spots and things like that. Isn't Reader a run stopper? Oh, wait, I already read that. I'm sorry. Okay. So he's... Oh, shoot. Hey, that pink shirt looked fire, though. Oh, no, this is the wrong video. Hold on, I'm watching the wrong video. Good luck, NFL. Oh, okay. Hey, I was like, what is this? Okay. Oh, no, this video looks crazy. I got that thing way too far zoomed in. Here we go. So, what is it? Last season, he had a 10.8% pressure rate. 10.8%. So I take pressure versus the amount of pass rush snaps. I don't know if I put Aleem's on there. Let me see what Aleem was. I think Aleem was... I know Aleem was lower. I don't know how much lower he was, though. So he was at 10.8%. And Aleem had 34 pressures on 348 pass rush snaps. So... 34... Well, how many pressures was it? 348. Yeah, and Lee McNeil was at 9.7%. So he was about a 0.5%. No, that's more than a 0.5%. So it's over a full percent higher pressure rate than Lee McNeil last season. Did you hear Tristan Wirfs got paid? Dude, he got money, man. I saw that on the way walking in. I'm like, holy. It's like 20. I was trying to do the math in my head. I was like, I think that's like 27.5. I felt cool, too. I don't even know if that's right. I don't even know if that's right. But, hey, yeah. But, yeah, hey, we're going to get out of here, man. I'm going to put that link. What channel is it? Is that what you're asking? What channel? So the channel will be on – it's on Bleacher Report. So link will be there. If you have the Bleacher Report app, it'll just open the app. If you don't, it'll take you to download the app. So you can download the app. Again, it's free. We just do shows of it. I put exclusive shows over there. So, and we don't bring those over here. So they're different. And there's already past shows there. If you're just looking for more content, stuff goes over there too. But I got to get that thing set up, man. 4 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in. We're going to go through roster predictions today, as of now, where I'm at, as August begins and football season starts today. Bears, Texas. Hey, I'm going to try. 28 per year. Ah, man. I was close. I was close, though. That math was close. I'm going to try, though. I'm going to go live stream the second half, but just depends on when I get back, to be honest with you. My man Alex is in the building. Alex, man, it's been a minute, Alex. How you doing, Alex? Okay. They were good. They were good, man. If you're just joining, man, roll it back. Check out the full thing. I messed up on a couple of my notes, but we're doing it live, so there's mistakes. It's fine. But we read through today some of our all my practice notes. Chargers. Ooh, hold up. Justin Herbert just got hurt? Hold up. Let me check this real quick. Approximately 2 weeks in a boot. Ooh. They said ready for the regular season, though, so he should be fine. Let me make sure I didn't leave any notes off here. Because I know I had some for special teams. Like my special teams, Isaiah Williams, they did a little squib kick to Maurice Alexander. Maurice had a short return. Kennedy was stopped at the 10-yard line after a bounce to the end zone, and he took it out. Who is this one? Maurice Alexander then took it to the 20-yard line. Craig took it to the 20-yard line. Kennedy returned to the 25-yard line. Then it was blown dead. I remember Gibbs had a nice return when they went back to it later. Like, we got to see Gibbs, Jamison, Khalif Raymond, and St. Brown all do kick returns the second time around. The first time around, though, was Maurice Alexander, Tom Kennedy, guys like that. So we got to see a lot of guys. Just Fields was sacked more than Jared Goff. Is be worried if I was Caleb Williams. I don't lie. Make a video on having our starting offense against our starting defense. Ooh. I mean, I guess that's what training camp is, though, to be honest. That'd be interesting. That's an interesting way to definitely look at for training camp. I'm not mad at something like that. We can at least do a segment on something like that, just for fun. What channel next Thursday? What channel is our game next Thursday? Is that what you're asking? I actually don't know. I don't know. Let me see. Channel is Fox. Well, it's locally Fox. I don't know what it is. I mean, if you have like NFL.com. Wait, no. If you have Game Pass, you should get it. The In the House. Love these takeaways always. Hey, I appreciate you, man. Shout out to Broder in the chat. Going back to the draft there. Fields held on the ball longest in football. Oh, man. The field slander is crazy, but it's also not something I'm against. So that's it's how we're ending the show. Appreciate y'all joining, man. Click that link. It'll be over there on the community tab. Again, shout out to our partner for this NFL season and for sponsoring today's live stream, BetUS. Use that top link in the description. I think I had like a cool thing that I could play, but I don't remember what it was. I'm just going to play their little ad here real quick. Let's hear from Michael Vick, and then we'll get out of here.
Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
And we out, man.